Welcome back people, John over here. Today's topic of the video is Kokcu, 19-year-old who played for Feyeenord. Looks like Feyenoord actually announced him for a 5-year deal. Please, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, give me a like on the video, on the comments I usually answer everybody. Let's go for the video. Well people, Feyenoord usually play on the 4-3-3 in Eredivisie. I usually don't watch Eredivisie that much, not 100%. I have a friend who supports Ajax and he says that Kokcu is already, as a 19-year-old, one of the biggest talents in that country. So I think that's something to look at. One of the biggest talents and one of the best players already. He's a guy who can shoot from long distances. Looks like a very technical, gifted player, which is not all, of course. He has to be dynamic, of course, to play in the Premier League. We have players like Danny Ceballos who are players who are technically gifted, and that does not always work. He's a guy who does not have he cannot play in high tempo, at least so far. It might be some problems that he has to adapt. And this might happen. I personally don't think it will, because he's already here for what, 8 months already, and of course he had an injury, he didn't play as many games, but that's not an excuse. I would never pay 36 million on Ceballos, but it looks like we might have to forget about Kokcu right now, because his contract, of course, it's now going until 2025. So if we want to get Kokcu, it's not going to be around 25 million anymore. It's probably going to be around 35 million, 40 million, something like that. And that I don't really think we can spend. If we add a little bit more than that, we can get a player like Jack Grealish, who's already an established player at the Premier League, which is why I don't think it's worth it. Feyenoord usually plays on the 4-3-3. The 3 guys on the midfield. Kokcu sometimes play on the left, sometimes play on the right, or Kokcu sometimes might play on the middle. Usually he plays on the left side. Fer is the DM who plays on the team, and on the right side it's Toornstra. So they play with a 4-3-3, no center attacking mid. They usually play all 3 on the middle. Of course, his role might be something different. He might come forward. It's very interesting that Kokcu started playing last season, and he had around 12 games. He had around 4 goals, 3 assists, something like that. So for an 18-year-old guy who's making his debut at the league, is something very impressive for me. This season is his stats are a little bit more quiet. I think that he used Arsenal as a way to get a new contract with Feyenoord, so it looked like he was give him some clues that he was going to Arsenal, saying, posting things on his Instagram, like let them talk, deleting that he was a player from Feyenoord on his bio on Instagram as well. That's a technique of usually getting a new contract. So Thomas Partey could have been doing that. His dad, of course, saying Thomas Partey wants to join Arsenal. Maybe sometimes that happens a lot in football. He might be using Arsenal as a way to get a new contract with Atletico Madrid. So that's something that might happen. I don't think it's going to happen on that case, but that's something that happened in Kokcu's case, and something that happens a lot in football. So we got to be aware of that. When Feyenoord plays in a 4-3-3, I don't really think Kokcu's playing as a 10 as much this season. Of course, he goes forward a lot. I think when he goes forward, Toornstra and Fer, who are the other midfielders, stay. But I think Toornstra actually can play as an attacking midfielder as well. He can actually play on the wing too. So I think he's a guy who comes forward. The other thing I want to talk about is, of course, Guendouzi. Of course, he got called up to the French national team. A lot of people have some really big criticism with Guendouzi. When I think of Guendouzi, he just turned 21, and most of the season he was playing as a 20-year-old player. And for a 20-year-old guy showing everything he's shown this season, I think it's really, really good. He's a really, really hot prospect in European football, which is why he already got called up to a French national team. Of course, you might say, Kante got injured. Okay, Kante got injured, but look how many midfielders they have. They have Rabiot, they have Tolisso, they have Ndombele, and there are a lot of guys who I am forgetting about as well. There's of course Paul Pogba. All those guys. You guys know that midfield is something that France has a lot. Nabil Fekir. You guys know, I don't need to get into details. Well, I think Guendouzi has to put his head down a little bit. He thinks that, from what I read, I'm gonna say everything based on what I read, Guendouzi wants to get called up to the national team and start playing regularly. So if he does that, he has to make sure he plays week in, week out, which is something I don't think he's gonna play here at Arsenal so far. I think our best combination of midfielders is Granit Xhaka and Lucas Torreira. So I don't think Guendouzi is going to play just yet. I think he is a really hot prospect, as I said, and can play as a starter after some point, but so far I just don't think he will. I think technically he's a very, very gifted player. Tactically, something that he lacks a lot. Physically, he's not that great yet. Can develop. If he goes to a team like Atletico Madrid, I don't know how much they would be willing to offer to Guendouzi. And when people criticize him, you see the teams that are linked with Guendouzi. You can just see the quality of their names. PSG, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Juventus. You might say, oh, but Juventus got Rabiot, Juventus got Aaron Ramsey. But first of all, they got them on the free. And those were opportunities. They had to buy players. So they basically got them free. They can maybe sell them next summer and make a full profit out of it. I know Ramsey got a really big contract, and when you get players on free, they come on bigger contracts. Ramsey is getting 400 grand a week at Juventus, which is approximately something close to 20 million a season there. But I think they can really sell them for around 25, 26 million to a team like Everton, some team like that. So I'm not totally against Guendouzi. I wouldn't be the saddest guy if we sold Guendouzi, because I think we need something instantly right now. Guendouzi is a guy who gets the ball. He takes a little bit too many touches on the ball, just like a little bit similar to Dani Ceballos. But it's a player I have faith in, and I think that he's, of course, a 20-year-old who's shown all those games at the beginning of the season. People forget a lot about that. Aston Villa, a great game. His game against Tottenham, absolutely fantastic. His game against Newcastle was good. His game against Liverpool was alright. His game against Manchester United away was really good. His game against Vitoria, when Pepe scores those 2 free kicks, on the second one that he goes for, Guendouzi, he came from the bench. Vitoria were having a counter-attack, I remember that. Guendouzi takes the ball from them. He dribbles 1, 2, I think 3 players. Then they give a foul on Guendouzi. Pepe goes for the ball. We win the game. I think Guendouzi is a very important player, a very, very good talent, as I said before. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, people. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. John here, Corner Station. Thank you.